moving on, I wanted to get into this question about your advice on getting into the industry, on getting into networking or tech in general. But for those aspiring people who are trying to get into this area and get their first roles in this area, what would you say is your best advice to those people? What would their steps to getting in be? Or generally, what is your best advice for them?
Yeah. So whenever you want to get into networking, I would say the main thing you need is experience. And then people are going to say, how do I get experience? Because most jobs want experience, right? So what I would say is, first of all, get the knowledge. You're going to need the knowledge either way, because nowadays companies, like, they don't want to take the time to train you, some companies. So what you want to do is you want to get the knowledge. And there's tons of knowledge in the internet. Like, you can get it for free from YouTube. You can get a paid course for dirt cheap on Udemy for like 10, 15 bucks, which is what I did. When I first got started, I took a Udemy course for $15 by Neil Anderson. Fantastic course, like a 40-hour course. And I went through that thing like 5 times, literally 5 times. Because when I first got started networking, I was like, everything was like new to me. So I didn't know how to like study, how to like get started. So I went through that course so many times. I would like watch it like as I'm working out, as I'm going to the gym, just to, what I like to do is I want to like brainwash myself into understanding networking technology, right? Because I heard someone say, like, if you hang around with network engineers or hang around with people that are in a particular industry for a while, you'll end up gonna know things like without even like you'll be unintentionally learning. So I wanted to get to the period of unintentionally learning networking. So that's either hanging out with my uncle, or like watching videos, or just like just like do it as entertainment time, right? Like try to like listen to a podcast or anything like that. Like I try to get to that like mojo of like, let me just learn. So I spent quite a bit of time learning. And like I said, to get started, I would say get the knowledge. That's the first possible thing. The first thing you need to do is get the knowledge, because without the knowledge, it's going to be hard. And even when you get started, it's going to be even harder too. So you might as well learn now, just to understand just the basics first. So once you've learned the knowledge, I would say get a certification. And to get a certification, I would say go for the CCNA. And like I said, certifications are good, but the issue with certifications is that the way they work is they're just multiple choice questions, right? And with these multiple choice questions, like, you can know the knowledge, but still do bad on the exam, right? Because it's you got to be good at test taking. So you also want to learn the skill of test taking as well, because that's just the nature of certifications and how they test you. But I would say get better at test taking, but at the same time, get the real world experience. So if you possibly can, try to get any job in tech anywhere, whether it's help desk, whether it's a knock role. It really just depends on your experience level. But try to get any sort of experience that you possibly can. It doesn't matter where, because people say, where do I go? Anywhere. Having even a little bit of like unrelated experience in tech is going to help you no matter what, right? And who knows, maybe there's network engineers at that company that you can network with, right? So there's lots of potential as soon as you get your first level of experience, right? So I would say get the experience, learn the knowledge, and get a certification like a CCNA. But like I said, I would say start off if you want to. The big thing I want you guys to know is pick one field, right? Like if you want to do networking, stick to that as long as you possibly can, right? Because that way your knowledge in networking is going to go up, right? That way your knowledge base is going to get increased. But if you go to networking and then go to cybersecurity and then go into cloud all within a year, you're going to have like a base level of knowledge of all of them. And then, that's not going to really help you in your career. So I would say just pick one thing, tunnel vision. If you are going to do networking, the roadmap that I would say is learn the knowledge first from like a video course. And then with that video course, get a certification. During that time, try to land a role as a basic level, IT job, tech job. Doesn't really matter. Sometimes you can get lucky and get a position that's like closer to networking, but if not, it's okay. Work within that position, try to network with people who are in networking roles, whether it's people that work at NOC, people who work in troubleshooting. Also like go into LinkedIn and network with people. Try to find someone like in your town, in your city, who is a network engineer who you can literally talk to, who you can ask advice from, because having that person is going to be very important because they're going to give you like the real time advice, because obviously things change, right? The industry changes quick. So you want to have someone who can give you that real time advice. Because if you're watching a video from YouTube from like 5 years ago telling you advice, it may not be relevant now. It may not be relevant. Tech is always changing. Tech moves fast. Like there's AI now. Like you want the real time advice and you want the real advice, you know, like find someone who's going to be like brutally honest and real with you and tell you like where to go, because most people will just tell you get this, get that, but everyone's different. You know, where your starting point is different for everybody. So having someone who can literally sort of be a mentor, is going to be very important. So try to find that person, particularly like a real, like in real time. So like someone like in real life that you can meet and talk to and then like ask questions, like hop on a call whenever. So find that little person that can help you. So now you have your, your certification, you have your experience, you have someone who's mentoring you, you have a little bit of experience. Like you should have enough knowledge to get started in this career. But in my case, obviously I went the degree route. You can also, if you do have a degree, you can leverage that as well. But I've seen people without degrees with this or with just basic level associate's degrees that are able to land jobs in networking. Because like I said, if you have the knowledge, they'll hire you. Like you don't need a degree. A lot of people say you need a degree, maybe 20, 30 years ago. Nowadays, it's different, I would say. Like if you have the knowledge, you have the skills, and you can interview well, like you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And you just got to find that company that's willing to take a chance on you, see that you're willing to learn. And it's going to be a grind. It's literally going to be a grind. No matter where you start, whenever you're new to things, it's going to be harder. When I first got started, it was a bit difficult because like I said, when I first got started, I was new to it. You're going to go through periods of pain, of struggle. You're going to feel like, is this even worth it? Should I even is this path even worth it for me? But those are the moments and times where you have to stick to it. You have to stick to it. You have to take your time and effort, and just know that with time and effort and goodwill, eventually you'll land that role. So like I said, it's getting the knowledge, getting the experience, getting certifications, and finding a mentor. Those are the main four, I would say. If you can get that main four locked in and sticking to that one path, you're golden.
One thing I wanted to ask you, just based on your advice, is where do you see yourself in the next few years? Is this networking area somewhere that you see yourself working in over a long period of time? As you said, like, if you stay in an area and build up your skills in that one area, you just keep going up and up and up. But also I know for a lot of people, moving around as well is something they say, you can learn a bit of this, and then you'll be more well-rounded or things like that. So what's your thoughts on that? And for you, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in this networking industry long term, or do you see yourself moving into other areas of tech that are related as well? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So obviously with tech, it's very exciting. There's so many different niches you can get into. And there's like two schools of thoughts, right? You can either, learn one skill, master that skill, get better and better and better, become more marketable because you're the best in the world at the skill. Or you could be the person that, learns a skill and then sees, okay, I can use my networking to get into cloud, and then gets into cloud. Because like, obviously, like maybe you can get bored after a certain period of time. And I know people who, they get into networking and after like maybe 4 or 5 years, they're like, okay, I want to jump into something new. Like I've been doing this for a while. I want to start something fresh. So they'll get into cloud. They'll get into like network automation. And one of the cool things about networking is like, you can get into cybersecurity. You can get into cloud. You can get into like automation. There's just because you're in networking doesn't mean you can get stuck there. Like there's so many sub niches that value the skill of networking. So it's gonna literally help you like crazy. So I would say like, even in my case, I'm like at the point where like, should I like master networking, keep going, keep grinding, or should I kind of jump around? So I'm in that phase where I'm like, even I'm a little bit confused, like, cause it's like it's a difficult path. Like I'm not 100% sure, but one of the fields that really have been exciting me is security. And it's particularly like network security. Because obviously with networking, there's a subset of networking that's network security. And that niche is like very interesting in my opinion, because I like the idea of like stopping bad actors and like trying to protect the network from like, cause obviously like you want to keep things secure. So there's a different, sub niches within tech. And like I said, in my case, I really can't answer that question because I honestly don't know where I'll go. Like in the next 4 years. But if I did have an idea, I definitely want to be in security, probably network security. And like I said, like having that networking knowledge is going to help. So even if you get into networking, you end up like, hey, I don't really like this. Like it doesn't really matter because you can still go into another niche within tech because most companies that I've seen, they all value networking because most people that are not in networking end up not even learning it because they're like, oh, it's, why do I need to learn this? Right. Because it's like, sometimes like, I'm like, in your case, do you really learn networking as a cloud engineer?
Yeah, you do.
You
You
do.
have to understand it to a certain level, depending on which area you're learning. And for me, working in cloud infrastructure, you need to have a good foundational understanding of networking within the cloud, within configuring is you're using IP addresses, you're working with subnets, you're configuring virtual networks. You do have to have an understanding of networking. It might be more specific to Microsoft and networking within the cloud. But yeah, you need a good understanding of networking. And I feel like most roles, as you said, cybersecurity, very much so, cloud, very much so. Yeah, most areas you will need to have an understanding. And it's funny, because as you were explaining, I was just thinking of, how you spoke about wanting to move into cyber. And if you did, it would be network security. And similarly with me, I started in a cloud infrastructure role as a cloud administrator, as your administrator. Then I moved into a cloud security. So it's like security is so interesting because everything has to be secured. Each area has to be looked after. And so there's network security, there's cloud security, there's different parts of security. And whichever area you start with, you're able to leverage those skills to move into the next area. And I also had a friend who was working in desktop support, like he was a desktop engineer. And he was asking me like, I want to move into cybersecurity, and I've been working as a desktop engineer for like over a year, but like, how do I get experience in cybersecurity? But I was like, bro, you're working as a desktop engineer. You work with firewalls, you work with IPs, you work with all this stuff. You already have experience in cybersecurity. You just need to leverage that and communicate that to where you want to go next. That, yeah, you've been working somewhat in cybersecurity. So it's really interesting you say that. And yeah, of course, in cloud, especially in my part of cloud and cloud security, an understanding of networking is required. So yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy because like most people don't even understand like the skills they're learning. Like if you have like I brought up with the experience thing, like your friend, like people don't understand like the experience they're getting, you can leverage it. Like you don't like most people don't understand that, but like what you do on a day-to-day basis, even if it's like very minute or very little, the fact that you're able to work with this equipment, you're gaining experience no matter what, right?
Yep.
Like I said, sometimes you'll be working with a firewall, be like, hey, bro, like just like your friend, like that's the easy way in because you can always talk about what you do on a day-to-day basis. And obviously, like, if you want, you can, you're working with that equipment. You can ask, your manager, you can ask your, if there's other coworkers who can literally just like, you can just like peer mentor and like watch what they do on a day-to-day basis. And that's literally getting experience. You can ask questions right then and there. So it's crazy the career track you can get into once you have experience. And like I said, it's, once you're networking or once you're in a certain field, it's going to open more doors for you.